Well, hey, finally, I am here. Thanks for joining me today. Today is like what, Thursday night? I think it's the 12th or something. Oh no, wait a minute. Let's see, the 16th is Saturday, today is the 14th. The 14th of November, my goodness. The month is over. So here I am to do, I think, one final song for 1970 Billboard Hot 100 Singles, 1970. And boy, I tell you, I decided to do The Thrill Is Gone with B.B. King. And it's just a classic song. It's beautiful. It's really great. I saw B.B. King when I was living in Houston years ago. We went to go see him live in a small, intimate venue. And it was amazing. You know, he was a lot younger. I even met as a friend for a little while there, this guy that played the bass for him. So this song, The Thrill Is Gone, is his top hit, you know. He's amazing. So The Thrill Is Gone, that's what it's called. And what does that mean, the thrill is gone? You know, that's quite an expression. And apparently, it hasn't been around that long. The first time that expression came, the thrill is gone. You know, we say, oh man, the thrill is gone. And we're making reference to this song that we've heard years ago. It comes from 1951, which was when it was first recorded. And this song was written by this guy called Roy Hawkins and Rick Darnell, and they wrote it in 1951. Now, Roy Hawkins is the guy who sings in that first recording, which I am including on the playlist. And it's a great interpretation of that song. Of course, he wrote it, so, you know, it's his. But he was an American blues singer, you know, and he was also a pianist and, of course, a songwriter and a blues singer, okay? We're talking about the blues here. Now, several of his songs, most notably The Thrill Is Gone, were later covered by a whole bunch of artists. And I found quite a few that I've included on the playlist for your listening pleasure. I hope you enjoy that. It was a lot of fun putting that together, so definitely. Now, Rick Darnell, according to, you know, I couldn't find Rick Darnell that easily. You know, I kind of looked around and I really couldn't find him that easily. So I did some search on the internet, and finally I found an article by the Farmville Herald, which was published in 2010. And it tells me there that Rick Darnell was born in Galveston in 1929. Now, I grew up in Houston, and we used to go to Galveston all the time, and maybe that's why there's that strong connection with the blues for me. So he was born in Galveston in 1929, and he died on Christmas Eve, December 24th in 2008. This is the other guy that wrote the song, Rick Darnell. Now, Darnell was... he was best noted for being a great songwriter, obviously, penning hits for the likes of Billie Holiday and Steve Bassett, and of course, most importantly, The Thrill Is Gone, okay? And I think Aretha Franklin does a version of that I added to the playlist. Now, this song, The Thrill Is Gone, was first recorded in 1951, like I was telling you, by Roy Hawkins, who was also a co-writer. He's a co-writer with Rick Darnell. And he sings the song, and, you know, well, that's basically it, you know. Now, according to Google, Hawkins' version of The Thrill Is Gone has a style that is a slow minor key blues song written by what was called the West Coast Blues Musicians. The West Coast Blues Musicians. Now, the West Coast Blues Musicians were musicians singing the blues in Texas who came to California, came to the West Coast. So Hawkins' recording of the song reached number 6 in the Billboard R&B Rhythm and Blues chart in 1951. So it did pretty good. And later in 1969, the song became a major hit, which is on this end of the year Billboard as number 98, and then there's 99, and then there's 100. So yeah, so in 1969 the song became a major hit for B.B. King when he recorded his own version, and this is the version that's number 98 in the Billboard, end of the year of 1970. Now, as I was telling you, the West Coast Blues. Now, what, I didn't know what that was. I was like, what is the West Coast Blues? What's all that about? And according to Google, a style of blues music originating from Texas blues musicians who moved to California. And it is heavily influenced by jazz and jump blues. Now, jump blues, well, we know what jazz is, right? And then jump blues is an up-tempo, horn-driven, there's the jazz style of blues music that emerged in the 1940s, blending jazz and the boogie-woogie influences. And you're gonna hear some examples of that. Now, the West Coast Blues is known for its smooth, jazzy guitar color solos, prominent piano, and often uses a 6/4 time signature, which I really could not understand that. 6/4, 1, 2, dun, dun, dun. I'm not really sure how that would go. Or a medium swing tempo. Medium tempo, like that, I guess. Distinguishing it from the more downtown Chicago blues sounds. And all the trumpets and stuff. I think that would be more of the Chicago blues sound, and the West Coast blues is more like a jazzy, a little bit more cool or more sophisticated, I guess. I don't know. More a slower rhythm, maybe. So then I said, well, okay, so that's West Coast blues, and then they're distinguishing it. And contrasting it to the Chicago blues sound, downtown Chicago blues sound. So then I was like, well, so what is Texas blues exactly, right? I asked Google. So Texas blues is a subgenre of blues, okay? And I guess blues originally, I'm not really sure, but I'm thinking New Orleans blues, right? Anyway, so a subgenre of blues music, it is characterized by a more fluid swing and eclectic sound, which that it pulls from a variety of styles, but it's kind of a swingy. And when you hear The Thrill Is Gone, it is kind of swingy. And he was like, where was B.B. King? I don't remember exactly where he was born, but I mean, he used to hang out in Texas a lot, in Houston. So, so it's kind of has that, it has pulls influence from a variety of styles. And it has a strong emphasis on the electric guitar, which is very strong in this song. You know, he plays that guitar and he gives it that incredible sound. The way he picks it, the strings, you know, he kind of pulls them up. It often blends blues with elements of country, jazz, and rock. Okay, so yeah, I think that with B.B. King in this song, it might be more influenced by jazz and definitely a strong electric guitar happening there. And it is known for its virtuoso guitar solos and showy riffs. And there's definitely a lot of that. Okay, so some examples of blues music, Texas blues music. You have folks like Blind Lemon Jefferson in a song called Matchbox Blues. And I have these in the list, in the playlist. And then there's Lightning Hawkins, song called Back to New Orleans. And then we have T-Bone Walker in a song Stormy Monday. And then Freddie King, I Am Torn Down. Johnny Walker, Broke and Lonely, Route 90. And Stevie Ray Vaughan, Texas Flood, Pride and Joy. And then we have, I went ahead and put in some West Coast blues examples here for you. So you have musicians like Floyd Dixon, Johnny Otis, Big Mama Thornton, Charlie Musselwhite, Little Charlie and the Nightcats, and Tommy Castro. So I put some of those examples down there for you guys to take a look at and get a feel of like all these different types of blues music. But getting back to The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King. You know, that song, I don't know how to count that. How to count that? 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you know, something like that, you know? And then there's that pick guitar that he's got going, and he does have like a really cool way of like when he goes on a guitar string, he kind of, some of those notes that he's picking on his guitar, he kind of pulls that string up to create that wow sound on the guitar, which is something that he started, I think. I don't know, but anyway, that's what it sounds like to me. And that's what makes this song so cool, because the song begins with the guitar riff, him doing his guitar solo riff and the bass. And so it has a nice introduction, a nice long introduction with that, introducing the theme of the song, the theme of the music, you know, with the note picking that he's doing on his guitar. And then he begins with the lyrics. So let me read the lyrics to you guys to see, you know, get the feel of it. So it goes, the thrill is gone. The thrill is gone away. The thrill is gone, baby. The thrill is gone away. You know, you done me wrong, and you'll be sorry someday. Now, how many times have we felt that? Right? The thrill is gone because, like, dude, you hurt my feelings. What did you do? I was so excited. I was feeling really, really, you know, there with that great feeling of loving somebody, having that good vibe with somebody, and then it's gone. Because why? What'd you do? Okay. So, and then he goes on to the next one. The thrill is gone. It's gone away from me. The thrill is gone, baby. The thrill is gone away from me. Although I'll still live on, but so lonely I'll be. All right. Now, this, these lyrics, they're just a bunch of words. I mean, they're cool, they're important, but once you hear the music, the way he plays that guitar, it kind of gives you that longing feeling, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you have something really cool and then all of a sudden it's gone, and then you're in this space where it's like you're missing it so much. You're missing them so much, because they're gone. And then it's like, what do you do now? And so like you have this lonely, empty, lonesome feeling. Okay, so after that second stanza, right? He gets into his guitar riff, a nice solo guitar riff, and there's an orchestra in the background for this song, and you can hear it here with the violins. Especially, so that even makes it even more longing, because the violins, they make you feel that way when you listen to them. They kind of create these inward emotions, that sometimes we forget we have them, and then we hear a violin and it does that, at least for me. So and that's a nice long riff that he does. And then he goes into the third stanza. The thrill is gone. It's gone away for good. All the thrill is gone. Baby, it's gone away for good. Someday I know I'll be open-minded. Someday I know I'll be open-armed. Just like I know I should. So it's like after a heartbreak, it takes a while to heal, but someday he's saying, I know I'll be open armed. I'll be able to love again, to do this again, I'll be able to take a risk again, love again. Just like I know I should. And then the last stanza, I'm free. I'm free now, baby. I'm free from your spell. I am free now. I'm free from your spell. And now that it's all over, all that I can do is wish you well. And then he ends it again with a guitar riff solo, accompanied by the orchestra, the violins, and then you can also hear the cello in the background, which is really nice, a nice way to end this song. And it's, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's a great song, and I loved it. It is number 98 on this playlist. It is a very, very popular song. And let's see, I want to look at the Billboard here. Yeah, number 98. Vamos a ver. Okay, so yeah, I saw him live. Let's see, 75, 76, 70, let me see. No, wait a minute. I saw him in 1973 in Houston. I saw him live. Now, he was born on September 16, 1925. That's the same year my dad was born. And he died in May of 2015. And he was from a very humble beginnings, very, very humble beginnings. Let's see. I remember I was reading about him. Yeah, they were living, I think he was living in, let's see, where was he born? Let's see, early childhood. Let's see, here we go, early life, here we go. He was born in a cotton plantation, you guys, in in Bear Creek in Mississippi. All right. In 1925, when black people were being lynched down south. All right. And he had a very, very humble beginnings. I think they talk about how they lived in this, in a very simple house that, you know, he could look out through the cracks of the wall boards. There were little cracks that you could see outside. You could see your neighbor. When it rained, they had to put like buckets around so the floor wouldn't get wet. And that his mother had, you know, his parents worked really hard. Let's see what else. I remember I was like, oh my God. Let's see. Anyway, you know, and he started playing he used to sing when he was little. It almost seemed like people knew that he was going to be a singer. He used to like to sing, and he learned to play the guitar. He taught himself. And he jammed with people around him. There were always people jamming with him. And then, you know, he just, he developed his own style. With The Thrill Is Gone, his special style really comes through. So anyway, I just thought, that's the song. The Thrill Is Gone. So you guys, thanks for visiting. That's it. Short and sweet. I do have that playlist. Check it out. We're done. I'm done with 1970. The next video will begin with the next year, 1971 Billboard. End of the year top 100 singles for 1971. I'm so excited. I haven't looked at that Billboard yet. I'm gonna do it like I did it this time. You know, I just took it a step at a time. I didn't like read the whole Billboard and make a note of all the ones I wanted to do. No, I would look at the beginning, and the first one I saw, that's the one that I liked, that's the one I did. And I'm just gonna follow that rhythm. I like that rhythm. And you know, hearing him takes me back to Houston in 1973. That was so long ago. Let's see, how old was I? I was like 20, because I was born in 53, 60. Yeah, I was 20. I must have been, I don't remember what month it was when we went to see him, but it was a long time ago. 50 years ago, pretty much. And I was, you know, I really feel that I was so young, and I had no experience in music appreciation. I mean, I had been exposed to a lot of different kinds of music because my dad, when he would come home after work, he used to listen to his classical music and his operas. He was totally into operas and classical music. So he had like these reel-to-reel recordings that he would record from the radio, like performances in classical music, symphonies and that kind of thing, violin concertos, all this kind of stuff, Bach and all these musicians, composers, I mean. And then he also had a lot of opera. And then they also had, you know, I got exposed to a lot of music because they also had like Mexican ballads, and then they also had Spanish from Spain, boleros, and kind of like flamenco kind of songs. And then they also had Argentinian tango songs at home when I was growing up. So we were, all of us, I have 3 brothers and myself, we were all exposed to that, you know, and it was really cool. They even had some Italian girls who sang popular Italian songs of the 50s and 60s, because we're talking about the 60s, right, when we were kids and living with our parents. And so we got exposed to a lot of music. But, you know, when you're that, you hear the music, and then there's also pop music. Once I started, I think when I started studying Joni Mitchell and learning to play the guitar, and then learning to play her stuff, is when I really started paying more attention. But as I've gotten older, it's really very different. Not that I didn't appreciate B.B. King before. The first time I heard him back in 1969, 70, which I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because 1970, 1973, around there, we went to go listen to him. So that was pretty recent, you know. But it's like that song, I didn't start appreciating that song until much later, like maybe when I was in my 30s, when I really started appreciating music, all kinds of music. I remember like when I would hear the big bands the big bands of the 40s, and the singing with the harmony of the women singing in some of these big band songs, and they would dance the swing and do all this kind of stuff. That was kind of cool. Just like all these different types of music. And then the music from Mexico and Argentina and from Spain, you know, this incredible music. And then eventually I started really learning about some of the music in Guatemala, which a lot of these compositions in Guatemala were done on marimbas, you know, and so really amazing. So appreciating music really takes time. And now that I'm really doing these videos and I'm going back into the more detail about the music, the song itself, what's going on, what type of music it is. Like with here we have the West Coast blues and the Texas blues, you know, and the influences and all that kind of thing. It's really interesting, kind of different perspectives of the music, and just the incredible amount of music production that we have in this country. It blows my mind. You know, there's just so much. We have such a long history of music. I mean, I'm starting in 1970. did not touch the 60s, nor the 50s, nor the 40s, nor the 30s, nor the 20s. I mean, seriously, if we could even go back to the 1890s, when the recording first got invented and people started recording their voice. It's really interesting history about that kind of thing. So anyway, and also another thing that's really cool that I've noticed, just one more thing, just how great it is to have access to all this music. Because when my grandparents, and I'm talking about 1930s in Guatemala, they didn't have access to recorded music. They had the radio, but it wasn't like you could just go and listen to what you liked, or you have all these options of music available at your fingertips. No. And they were musicians, so they knew how to read music, and so they would just get together with friends and they would play music, and usually it was like either tangos or some classical stuff that they came across, or maybe some zarzuelas, which are operettas from Spain. But people didn't have access to to recorded music. And also, for example, in a country like Guatemala, you don't have access to live classical music, for example, like you do here in the States. You know, now you do more, but back then you don't. And when my son eventually finished the music program, and he's a composer now, and he was composing and doing tours in Guatemala, I remember we did one performance for the family, and everybody came, and some people were just so grateful that we were doing this, because they didn't really have opportunities to go and listen to live classical concerts, you know. And usually my son was usually composing like voice with a piano or a violin, you know, whatever instrument was available. And so, and it was classical stuff, you know. And it's even, you know, music is a beautiful thing to have available. And I think that it's good to open yourself up to all the different kinds of music that's out there in the present and what was being done in the past. All the incredible music that's been done over centuries, you know. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it like that. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you had fun with this video. Take care of yourselves. Peace, love, and understanding. And I'll see you next time when we start 1971. Bye-bye.